I'm Walker, and today we're diving into one of the most complex and misunderstood characters in Honkai, Star Rail, the Stellaron Hunter, Kafka. Discover the mysterious story of Kafka, a key member of the Stellaron Hunters. From his recruitment by Elio to his complicated interactions with the Astral crew, revisit the key events that shaped his character. Who is Kafka and his group? Imagine a game where the fate of the universe depends on 5 mysterious individuals.
Sounds like a page out of the
Kafka is one of them.
playbook.
Kafka is one of the Stellaron Hunters, an anti-hero group that hunts the Stellaron. Recruited by Elio on Pteruges-V, she sought to feel fear, something Elio promised her. She became the group's vice leader, helping to recruit allies like Firefly and Blade. From a young age, Kafka served Elio. According to the official law, Elio recruited her through a riddle involving a can and a ball. He promised her the ability to feel fear, motivating her to join. Kafka was born in the human colony on Pteruges-V. When she thought she would never feel fear, Elio appeared with a deadly riddle. By following it, she gained the purpose to live real dangers. In return, Kafka became the commander and trainer of the Trailblazer. Reportedly, Elio entrusted Kafka with the protagonist to train him to face Nanook. She also led recruitment missions, rescuing soldier AR-26710 to become Firefly, offering a cure for her syndrome, succumbing to Blade's undying pain and the promise of death. She eventually recruited Silverwolf easily. These events formed the initial team of Stellaron Hunters. Kafka first appears in Honkai, Star Rail as a mysterious figure. At the end of Jarilo 6, she appears as a hologram, redirecting the crew to Xianzhou. She says there is a Stellaron crisis in Luofu and asks for understanding, acting as if she is resolving the situation. This scene raises suspicions, but the protagonist is suspicious. Himeko turns to Kafka, saying she only saw her on a wanted poster. Kafka even calls Himeko by name, hinting at a past connection, but the game officially doesn't explore this past yet. Later, in Xianzhou, Kafka appears in actual combat. In the confrontation between Dan Heng, Yang King, and Blade, she arrives and uses her spirit whisper to calm the situation. When Blade attacked Dan Heng, knocking him unconscious, Kafka intervened. With her mind control ability, she ended the fight. Afterwards, Kafka and Blade hide in the Alchemy Commission to escape. Kafka uses Spirit Whisper on Blade, keeping him unconscious, and asks the protagonist for help to erase her memories, as seen in the mission Letter from a Stranger. In the end, regardless of whether she helps or not, she thanks the player and reinforces that only the protagonist helps her. This scene shows Kafka in a vulnerable and collaborative position, contrasting with her villainous image. Kafka's abilities aren't based on brute force, they're based on control, more specifically, influence. Her signature ability, often called Spiritual Whisper, allows her to affect the thoughts and behavior of others. But this isn't simple mind control. She doesn't just give orders and people obey. It's more subtle than that. She influences decisions, she alters perception, she creates the exact pressure for someone to act differently, and the person usually doesn't even realize it. That's what makes her so effective. In the story, this is clear with Blade. When he loses control, Kafka doesn't physically subdue him. She stabilizes him only with her voice, which suggests that her ability isn't about domination, but about precision. Now here's where things get interesting. The game never fully explains how this power works. Is it psychological? Is it linked to the path of nihilism? Or is it something completely different? There's no clear answer, and that leaves room for interpretation. And there's also the possibility that what we've seen so far isn't even the full extent of her ability, which would explain something important. Kafka has one of the highest bounties among the Stellaron Hunters. This is due to what she can do without fighting. If someone can influence decisions, control outcomes, and manipulate entire situations from the shadows. Without any chance of retaliation, we can say that worlds can fall at the whim of the script. That person becomes far more dangerous than someone who simply destroys things, and Kafka fits perfectly into that category. After the Jianzhou stories, Kafka's appearances are quite limited, which is one of the most questioned points by fans. However, we can see her in some trailers, such as the one for Exotale 8, where she talks about the alternative endings of trailblazing if Elio's script wasn't followed, and how
original end. The Eighth Lord Ravager's ascending wings will sound the prelude to divine war. As for the glass belt, that stage for the morning actors, the black hole and the white hole will devour each other at the end of it.
Will it be something more tempting, but also more terrible?
In the name of love, she will treasure all that has faded, till the end of time, when the remembrance becomes.
One detail most players overlook is that your relationship with Kafka isn't fixed. You can trust her, you can reject her, you can ignore her completely, and yet none of that changes her behavior. She always acts the same way, calm, certain, patient, almost like your choices were never meant to change the outcome, which raises a strange possibility. Are you really choosing anything at all, or are you just following the path already written by Elio for a greater good, fulfilling the destiny set by Elio to defeat Nanook? On the other hand, her treacherous methods and the fact that she withholds information raise suspicions. Her ownership in Letter from a Stranger reveals that despite her distrust, Himeko believes that the protagonist would be safe with Kafka. This leaves open whether she is a veiled ally or a redeemable villain. Within the Honkai, Star Rail community, there's a persistent idea that refuses to die, the belief that Kafka is the biological mother of the Trailblazer, and surprisingly, a lot of people actually think this is canon. But once you look at the actual dialogue, that theory falls apart almost instantly. The confusion comes mainly from a specific line said by Kafka during the quest Letter from a Strange Woman. She says, "Genetically speaking, you are my child. A quarter of your body comes from me." At first glance, that sounds definitive, but here's the problem. That line comes from a segment called Truth or Lie, and that statement is the lie. Because if it were true, then other members of the Stellaron Hunters, like Sam or even Firefly, would also qualify as biological parents, which is never acknowledged, not once. So what's the actual truth? Kafka herself gives it. "One day, Elio handed you to me. He said you would change me and I would change you." That's not a mother, that's something else entirely. According to the law, the Trailblazer isn't even a normal human. They are an artificial body created with a single purpose, to host a Stellaron. And before that mission at the Herta space station, Kafka was responsible for them. She trained them, taught them, and protected them. And then she erased their memory, which completely changes the dynamic. Because now the question isn't, is she their mother? It's, what exactly is she to them? A mentor, a handler, a manipulator, or something closer but harder to define, and it gets even more complicated. Because the Trailblazer existed alongside the Stellaron Hunters for an unknown amount of time, possibly even before Silverwolf joined. There are hints that they were present during early events involving Blade and Firefly. Not confirmed, but heavily implied, which means their connection to Kafka is much deeper than the game initially shows. And yet, after everything, Kafka still chooses to erase their memory. Why? Because according to Elio's script, that moment had to happen, which turns their entire relationship into something unsettling. Not family, not coincidence, but design. Two people meant to shape each other's fate, And no matter how distant the Trailblazer becomes, Kafka continues to act with one quiet assumption that in the end they will come back to her, not because they were forced to, but because that was always how the story was meant to go. Did you enjoy the video? Like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future Honkai Star Rail content. Share your theories and future ideas in the comments.